Movie begins with John is waking on the lakeside when suddenly he sees three girls bathing in the lake. John starts looking at one of the girls, Jackie. She is bathing and doesn't notice John. After a while, Jackie looks back at John with a strange look, and then she goes under the water and disappears. John also leaves. The next morning, John is waking in front of his house when he hears a crying noise. He starts to follow the noise. He sees a boat. He checks and finds a young girl inside the boat crying. He recognizes her from yesterday, when she was bathing in the lake. John asks her why her eyes are so red, but she fights with someone. He tells him to leave her alone. John tells Jackie that he just wants to help, and Jackie asks about his head injuries. John says that you do not need to know about it. And he asks her how her eye turned red and with whom she has fought and who has punched her in the eye. Jackie is furious and says, "Maybe it was you who did this to her," because she told John to leave and he didn't listen. John replies that he only wanted to help her by putting some ice on her eye. He further says that he can give her some money if needed. Then Jackie says, "If you've helped me, you should go grab 2 bottles of wine and give me $500. If you don't do this, I'll yell and tell everyone that you punched me and tried to harm me." John is now terrified and goes to the wine store to purchase 2 bottles of wine. When he returns, he notices Jackie is not present. When John returns to his residence, he notices Jackie's hat hanging on the front door. John looked everywhere but couldn't find her. The next day, John goes to the beach and sees a young girl in a swimming suit, which reminds him of his dead daughter. This reminds him of his past. Later in the evening, John sits on the beach and thinks about his family. Suddenly, John sees Jackie with her father, Ralph, and her brother. John tries to talk to Jackie and asks about her eye. Jackie doesn't reply. Then Jackie tells him that her hat is in his house and she can take it back. Ralph inquires about John and how Jackie knows him. Jackie does not respond and walks away, as though she despises her. Ralph goes to John's house late at night and invites him to dinner since Jackie told her father how John attempted to help her the other day. The next day, John goes out for dinner. Ralph asks Jackie to call her brother for dinner later. They all started dinner because Ralph is very religious. When Jackie's brother is playing with his food, Ralph gets angry and tries to hit him. However, Jackie starts arguing and explains why he is always shouting at his kids. Jackie gets angry and tells John to let's go to his house. Meanwhile, John doesn't understand anything and leaves with Jackie. Later, while walking in the jungle, John asks Jackie for a cigarette because there aren't many people here. John inquires about Jackie's father's knowledge of smoking. Jackie takes John's cigarette and declares that she doesn't care about her father. John explains to Jackie why she does things to irritate her father. She screams angrily, "You don't know anything about my family." John tells her that she can share it with him. Jackie calms down and sits down. Jackie tells John that a few months ago there was a robbery at her house. The robbers tried to get intimate with her, and at that moment, Jackie's mother tried to save her from the robbers. However, she was shot by the robbers and died on the spot. That's why her family is so disturbed. Jackie gets emotional while telling her story. Jackie then asks about the injury to his head. John tells her that one day while traveling with his family, he abruptly fell asleep while driving, causing an accident in which his daughter and wife died, while he survived with severe injuries. John held himself responsible for his family's deaths. Jackie was overcome with emotion after hearing John's story. Later, both are at John's house so Jackie can receive her hat back. While John is hunting for a hat, Jackie enters John's bedroom. John finds a hat and rushes to Jackie's bedroom to offer it to her. Meanwhile, Jackie is lying and appears to be drawn to John. John gave her the hat. Jackie asks John if he is single, and John says he is. Jackie asks John if she can stay the night with him at his house, and he says no. Meanwhile, John leaves the bedroom, and after a while, Jackie leaves the bedroom naked and stands in front of John. It looks like Jackie wants to have intimacy with him. However, John is surprised to find Jackie in this condition, so he throws a sheet over her to conceal her. Jackie is unhappy and tells John that he does not want to touch her because she was raped. Jackie begins to cry and goes on to say that she was crying in the boat a few days ago when her father punched her in the eye. Jackie claims that her father is abusive and beats her every day. John becomes emotional because Jackie has been through so much. John comes over and hugs Jackie on the hand. Jackie feels John is ready for intimacy and begins kissing him. John stops her, clothes her, and asks her to leave and go home. She refuses, but when John persists, she leaves. The next day, Jackie visits John's house with his maid and apologizes for her behavior the night before. After some time alone in the house, Jackie apologizes again, and John forgives her. Later that day, John and Jackie go hiking. Both appear disturbed because they have no one to share their pain with. While walking down the road, a police officer stops them because he recognizes Jackie. The officer inquires about John, and Jackie responds that John is her father's friend. The officer then departs. Later, they both begin hiking. Jackie hikes quicker than John due to his age. After some time, John reaches the top of the woodland, and Jackie begins talking, telling him that after the night of her assault, her father informed her that if she hadn't worn the skirt, the thieves would never have done that to her. Her father believes that the thieves shot her mother because of Jackie. Jackie also claims that her father is strict and traditional and that he dislikes Western society. Jackie is a person who is willing to try new things. She becomes upset while talking, and John calms her. Meanwhile, Jackie begins kissing John's hand, as though she wants to get personal. They proceed from there. They both sat down for a little break after walking. They begin to stare at each other and get intimate at that point. Some people are fishing in the deserted forest, and when they spot Rolf, they both flee. John returns home and begins packing because he is afraid that anybody knows about Jackie and their connection. And Rolf could do something to her. Then Rolf arrives at his house and invites him to dinner at his house. He tells her to leave tomorrow. Later, John is at the dinner table at Jackie's house. When he tells Jackie that he is leaving tomorrow, she tries to attract him towards her and tells him not to go. When John does not listen, she becomes very angry and, in front of everyone, calls him an old man. After hearing all this, her father apologizes to John for his behavior. John tells them it doesn't matter and leaves. The next morning, Jackie knocked on John's door, and as soon as John opens the door, she enters the house. Then Jackie tried to be a little romantic with him, and that is why she was very excited. John thinks he is leaving now, so he may be intimate with Jackie and they get intimate. After a while, John realizes that someone outside his house was watching him and Jackie getting intimate. Just then, someone calls out to Jackie. This is Jackie's maid. She takes her stance down and sees everything and tells her father she is calling now. She puts on her clothes and leaves. Later, John begins packing his belongings instantly, and Rolf comes. John becomes terrified, but Rolf assures him that his kid is lost and in need of assistance. Then they both begin looking for Rolf's son, even though Jackie is still posting her brother's missing poster. The next day, when he was walking down the street, the police officer asked him to get into the car and said to him, "I want to marry Jackie. He likes her. You are Rafael's friend. Talk to him about this." John says her brother is missing, but after finding him, "I will definitely talk to her about your feelings when he gets out of his car." Despite a lot of searching, Jackie's brother was nowhere to be found. Everyone assumed he had left his family and gone somewhere far away. When John arrives at Jackie's house, he finds her and the cop watching TV together. Tell Rolf that he will be leaving town early tomorrow morning. The next day, John goes for a swim by the lake, and Jackie comes and begins swimming with him in the water. She says, "I also want to go with you." Jackie dresses and departs. Rolf inquires about the situation with John. Then Rolf and the police officer arrive. Rolf asks, "What did you do?" John says nothing, and he is thinking. Rolf says, "If your daughter was in this place, you would have done the same thing." Then a police officer would take out his gun and Rolf would pick up the wood lying on the ground and hit it. Only then does he somehow run away. He escapes from there and comes to his house. But his door is open and a monkey is sitting on the table. Then Rolf comes along and throws a stone that hits the monkey. Rolf starts fighting with John, but then the monkey climbs up Rolf and starts biting him. He somehow throws the monkey off his back and walks away. But blood starts coming out of his body. John knew that this animal could attack him after that, so he picked up an iron pipeline there, and he attacked the monkey with an iron rod, and the monkey died. The police officer and Jackie came there, and both of them were picking up Jackie's father, Rolf, and keeping him in the car. John also helped and put him in the car. Then the police officer pulled out his gun and warned John that he would shoot him if he didn't leave town by tomorrow. Jackie is confused as to whom she should go with because John's body is also bleeding and his father's condition is also serious. At the end of the film, she chooses her father inside the car, and they both realize the importance of each other and cry. Jackie and John watch each other, and one of them wishes to be with him, but this is not possible. John enters the house, takes the monkey, and apologizes to him. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.